everybody's got their smiles on. Good morning, everybody in Facebook world. This is Don Chakowski with Fidelity National Title. Thank you for joining us for this week's Market of the Moment. We are excited to have a great panel again. This morning we are joined by Miss Sharon Terhune. I'm sorry, going to order the way I see everybody. So Sharon Terhune, who is the Vice President and Manager of the Residential Sales Team at Fidelity National Title. Sharon, thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Welcome, everybody.
We also are joined by Miss Heather Openshaw, and Heather is the owner of the Openshaw Real Estate Team as well as the Herpel Real Estate Team. So, I always make jokes about the name. I'm going to skip it this time about trying my efforts at combining them. But Heather, thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to talk to you today, and we're going to talk about some business planning questions. So we're excited to dive into that with you a little bit later.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Miss Mindy Jones Navarez. Why don't I just all of a sudden I want to change it. So Mindy, yeah, it is. That's what, and last name like mine.
Made it easy for you. She even put it on the screen. Come on.
I know, right? I know. That's what, so Mindy, the owner of the Amy Jones Group, and Mindy is going to be joining us each week with some of the stats updates. But I know you had actually mentioned in a text message a little bit ago that you finished your business planning this week as well. So we're going to be excited to talk about that. And it's funny because I really want October's theme for Market of the Moment to be about business planning, because if we're not doing it, we're going to find ourselves with some challenges going into 2021. Not like there's not enough challenges out there already. So, and then good morning, Miss Annette Hunt with Guild Mortgage. Annette, thank you for joining us again. And we always enjoy the nearly free money that Annette has available to us. So thanks for jumping on again this morning, Annette.
Oh, you bet. Good morning.
Okay, so let's start off with with where things are as we stand in the market right now, and so Mindy, if you can kind of just give us a rundown. I know this is a new platform for us in some regards. So if you have any trouble with screen sharing, Annette taught Jesse to do it. We think she can teach anybody. So, yeah. Hey, you miss a week, you get abused. That's the way it works. So,
So we've got lots to share. So I don't typically screen share when I come on here, just because I think some people can get a little confused by these charts and graphs and numbers and things like that. So I will share this one, and then I'll probably kind of take that off the screen. But I think the key takeaway and what we like to share when we show these numbers is really just how low the inventory continues to be. So month after month, we continue to post a record number of listings, anywhere between 9,000 and 12,000 listings a month. What that means is that's actual new inventory that's hitting the market. And despite our best efforts to put as much new inventory as we can out there, many homes are selling within 24 hours of being on the MLS. Our average days of market have fallen dramatically over the last 6 months. And so at the end of every month, when they take a look at what's actually left on the market, we are barely moving the needle month after month. So you can see here on the screen, if you look at active listings, excluding UCB, which means taking out the ones that are actually under contract already, we are at 8,389. And if you've been watching the Market of the Moment for the last few months, that number really has only gone between 7,800 and about 8,400 or 8,500. So despite the record number of additional new listings, we really aren't seeing that number change by very much. And the outcome of that, right, is really the important stuff. And that's why I kind of pulled those numbers off the screen. The outcome of that is that 45% of houses up to about $500,000 are selling over asking. Many homes are getting multiple offers. Many are selling, like we talked about, the very first weekend on the market. And we're seeing appreciation numbers that we've literally never seen before. We're tracking to about 18% appreciation annually. And remember, that doesn't mean that every home has gone up 18%, although I'll say the majority of the homes, specifically here in the Southeast Valley, have seen that type of appreciation. We're trending for an additional 2 to 3% appreciation each month as we close out the rest of the year, which is just insane. We've seen clients of ours, and I know Heather will attest to the same, who bought their home just last year with a very small percentage down, 3 to 5%. They now are able to refinance their home, get a lower interest rate, drop that mortgage insurance. It's as if they had come into their first home purchase with 20% down, which many first-time home buyers just simply can't do. And they're now realizing those benefits just a year later. So the market continues to be a very profitable place for both buyers and sellers, albeit a little challenging.
Yeah, it's just amazing, like just the flat out energy that's gone into our market over these, we were all in that position where we were all concerned what was going to happen, when we were in February and March and April. Yeah. And, but we just see this craziness, this madness around home sales right now. I was talking with one of my partners yesterday who was telling me about that they had called on a lead that they had received, and the house that they were calling on was already under contract. It was like a home valuation lead that they had received, and so their house was already under contract. And so they told him, they said, well, he said, well, how much is it under contract for? And he said $365. And he's like, well, I was just going on to this website to go see what it was worth. That was like, he's like, I wanted to see what it's worth. And I love the answer because he's like, well, it sounds like it's worth about $365 to me. And,
That's right.
And so, but I just really think that, I think that there's some people who are concerned that when they see houses sell so quickly, that they're not getting the highest and best.
That's right.
And so what would you say, and Heather, if you could chime in on this as well, what would you say to that seller who says, well, if my agent sold it in the first day, that means I could have got better if we would have been on the market longer?
Yeah, so from a market perspective, and then Heather, I'll let you kind of share, what you see from an industry perspective, but the intention really of putting a commodity, if you will, on the market is to find the right price point that encourages people to come forth with zeal, right? What you want is you want people to come forth and say, the price seems to be comparable to what I'm seeing out there, right? Consumers are educated. They do have access to Zillow and other online tools. And so when your home pops up in a certain price bracket, they're comparing it to other ones that they see at that same price bracket. And we want them to see one that says, it's got all of the things and it seems to be the right price, right? It's that gut feeling and that emotional feeling that they have instantly. And that ensures that we have not only the greatest number of eyes on the property because we priced it accordingly, but that they have this stickiness is how I like to talk about it. And in a market like this where people are very fearful and afraid of the unknown and the uncertainties, we want to have people who come forth and are so committed to your property from the start that no matter what happens throughout the transaction, they will fight to stay in the game and be able to close. And so selling the first day on the market is indicative of proper pricing. In a market where you have multiple offers and good visibility, you simply can't underprice a property. The only way to underprice a property is if you take the very first offer that you get and you go under contract and you take yourself off the MLS before giving yourself the appropriate seasoning time. And so that's why, Heather can talk about her listing process and her listing system, but it allows for people to be able to get into the home, to see it, to collect those multiple offers in a timely amount of time. And then the market will build up the price of what the property is actually worth. And you want all of that to happen and that momentum to happen as quickly as possible.
So we like to say we're in a beauty contest and a pricing war. So we have to be the prettiest house on the block that's priced correctly, right? And so our job is to get you inside of the market price. So we ultimately know that the buyers determine the price on a home, because if it was the sellers or the agent, we would price it tremendously higher than what the market would call for. And so what we like to do, and I encourage other agents to adopt this strategy, is we list all of our homes on Thursdays, and we market them, we pre-market them, but also all the way go through all the weekend, which allows all the buyers agents and the buyers in that pricing range to come in, preview the property, and decide that they like that property. And we review offers on Monday after they've been vetted. And so what that does is that guarantees that everybody who's ready to play ball, wants to get into that beauty contest and all that kind of good stuff they can submit their best offer, and then we review offers all together on Monday. So that can give a seller the ability to feel great about the price that they're getting and know that that is the highest that the market is going to pay for that price.
And so the reality is that these buyers are backed up, right? So I was actually speaking with somebody last weekend who, unfortunately, they didn't come to me for a referral, but they're working out shopping for a house, and they are they're a younger couple, but their price range is still good. They're willing to go, all the way up to, I think, around 600,000. They're looking South Scottsdale, Arcadia, willing to do a fixer upper, willing to do whatever. And they've written on, I think, 9 homes already and gotten 0. And so I can tell you when that couple goes into a house and they are, thinking about their offer, they're going to come aggressive, right? They're going to come with their best from the beginning. And so I think there's a lot to be said for that pent up, the buyers want to get into a house. So those offers come in quick.
Point, Don, too, because I posed this question to Mindy and Heather. If you're working with that client, you probably would have already gotten an accepted contract, because what would you have done when you presented that offer to that listing agent, knowing they're going to get multiple offers? What would you do differently? And or if you had the listing and contracts came in, if certain agents did certain things, meaning maybe their client wrote a letter, or their client did a video saying we'd love to be in your home, or maybe the agent calls, obviously, the listing agent, things like that. Like, what do you guys do?
There's definitely a lot of things that we do, and I, Heather can kind of touch on what she focuses on with her team around writing that client letter, putting the best foot forward in the offer, relieving any seller needs by ensuring that we're taking the time to have the conversations with the listing agents about what is important to the sellers, whether it's close date or it's time frame or lease back option, or highest price or other types of concessions. So getting really creative where we can about what we will and won't ask for during the inspection report, and certainly the extra communication between having our transaction coordinator call and our title rep call and our lender call, and everybody be, really over communicative to get through the situation. But I think the other piece of that process is we have been in this environment for several months at this point, and there are buyers who have never been in this type of environment before, let alone even bought a house before. And this is a difficult market for someone to navigate who doesn't have any real estate experience. And so I think the other thing we're starting to see is consumers understand that in order for them to get their offers accepted, for them to get the highest on market price, for them to have a smooth transaction and actually close, they need to work with seasoned real estate teams who understand how to navigate this type of a market. And, I think the gap between the agents who have the experience or who are willing to adapt to the current market and the ones who aren't is growing every day. And, Heather can talk about some of her expertise and some of the things that she sees too.
So we like to say right now, the deal is actually getting the house. So some people think that you're going to come in and get a $20,000 deal. And, unfortunately, that's not the case right now. Right now, the deal is actually getting the house and having the keys. And so it's so important to work with people who are doing a high volume of transactions, because the market varies every week. So every week our team comes in and says, how many offers did you get? How much over? How strong were they? And we can see in our experience, it's weakened a little bit this past weekend than the weekend before. And so we're able to use that knowledge and make sure that we're having a great consultation up front and setting the right expectations for buyers, so they know if a house is listed for $300, we probably need a gift from our parents to get to $350, right? And so making sure that we are communicating exactly what it takes. If your budget is $350, then you need to be looking at $300 because you're going to have to pay $350 to get it. So also capitalizing on relationships. So what's great about people who have been in the industry longer, who do a great job of networking, is you can pick up the phone from the agent who you've already done a deal with in the past, other agents in your market center, and build that relationship because they know that your deals are going to close. And so that's another great strategy for making sure that your buyers are winning in this market.
And I think it can also be a hindrance if you don't have those connections. And so I think that's something else that, consumers need to think about when choosing a real estate agent in this market. A lot of people would like to use a family friend or someone that they know personally. And I know both Heather and my team, we're both always willing to bring those folks into the transaction so that you both get the value of working with someone that you trust because they're your friend or your family member, but you get the professional experience of teams like Heather's and mine so that we can guide you through those transactions. Because I just recently went under contract on a house, $25,000 over asking for my seller and $25,000 over asking for one of my sellers. And the first day we went on the market, I received 4 phone calls from agents that I've known for a long time who said, hey, I'd love to do a deal with you. We're going to come in and look this weekend. And they're leveraging that relationship. And I know how their teams work and I know what their, infrastructure is like. And so certainly all offers get presented to the seller. The seller gets to make the ultimate decision. But part of the vetting process is helping the seller understand what the team representing their buyer looks like on the other side.
Excellent. Yeah. And
very well said.
Yeah. And I think these are all such important factors that when we're working with buyers that we have to make sure that we're keeping in mind. And that's because of this logjam we have of buyers that you have to go out there and be super competitive and have a solid plan of how you win, and being with the right folks is a big piece of it. So so I agree.
There's also a lot of mistakes that happen in an environment where people are dealing with a greater number of transactions or volume than they're used to. And so like the lenders are exceptionally backlogged right now. I mean, Annette, I know you are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week between refinances, purchases, title. I know that you guys are so slammed with the number of transactions. Everybody in the process is dealing with an exceptionally high volume, and that bleeds over into the new construction side as well. And so just the sheer volume that the real estate industry is experiencing requires someone to handhold and to shepherd through each step of the process. And that's exactly the role that someone like Heather and I play. I have seen more mistakes or missed opportunities or miscommunications on the new construction side than I probably have ever seen in my career. And it's not intentional, and it doesn't mean they're bad builders. There is just a lot going on. This is not a dip your toe in the market kind of a market. This is a very busy marketplace, and it requires professionals to help with the navigation. But if you can find those people and you can stay committed to the process, the upside is life-changing.
Excellent. Well said, Mindy. I appreciate it. And that's what, okay, so we dove right into stuff, and which is good, except for, I was looking to hear from Annette a little bit about the financial side of things, about the money side of things, before we move into our business planning conversation. So Annette, so can you kind of give us a rundown? What are we seeing out there? Is the money still nearly free?
Hey, you know what? The good thing it is nearly free. So, well, and things are a little weird right now. We're entering into a rate space and a mortgage bond security space and 10-year bond spaces that we haven't been in quite some time. So what I mean by that is that everything's starting to tighten up in the markets. When you have these tightening up in the markets, you have what's called a spring-like effect. So once it starts to tighten and constrict, it's going to spring out but really there's no idea which way it's going to go. So it can go one way or the other. It could be to the good side on rates, or it could be towards the bad side on rates. And it's kind of tricky right now, and I haven't seen this in a while. I'm going to share my screen. I did pull a chart, and it's actually pretty cool. And it's the similar charts that you guys are seeing yourselves, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, wait, no, I got you. I got to click a button over here. So,
okay.
There we go.
Oh, okay, good. Sweet. So I show this chart almost every single week. You'll notice that we've had this little bit of a roller coaster ride today. So it snuck down underneath this 50 and 25-day moving average. As you can see, they're starting to converge. And so once the market slipped below this, and this is your mortgage-backed security, this is our 2.5-year note. And as it starts to come up, this means good for rates. But you got to think, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. We have the elections coming up. And what's going to happen? Nobody really knows at this point. So, but right now, the rates are staying steady. Even though they did come down a little bit, it wasn't enough to really push them above 3.25. Right now, our government rates are roughly in the 2.625 range. So that, to me, is phenomenal. Hang on, sorry, I'm trying to get us back.
No worries, you're good.
Okay, so markets are starting to get that constriction though. I'm interested to see what the next few weeks is going to bring. It's obviously though it's bringing down the rates for the government funded loans just simply because they've stabilized. You see that even though it's kind of a snake in a roller coaster pattern, it's still considered stable because you have the ebbs and flows of the market versus the craziness we saw back in March. So that has helped our rates tremendously on our government loans. When it comes to products right now, we're getting more of our second mortgages back. So our HELOCs, our HE loans, those are starting to come back into the marketplace. They're starting to become a little bit more competitive. So we're seeing them increase their loan to value. So what I mean by that is now they're doing 90%, when at the beginning of March and April, they had restricted everything. They started to restrict everything to like 20%. You had to have 20% equity, then you could do, HELOCs after that. But now they're really starting to come back into line and things are starting to loosen up on that end. One of the big things that I see that's going to affect people for the rest of the year is what the government securitized entities are doing. And Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, and it's on our small business owners, especially those that were affected through the pandemic. Those items their restrictions are getting a little bit tighter. So I feel like hopefully by the first of the year, those will start to loosen up again. But right now, I think that's going to have a big effect on small business owners when they go to try to buy a home.
Okay. And
I think what I think is so interesting about this is I think in retrospect, since March, the most volatility that we've seen has been on the lending side. As different obviously from the market crash, this has been the lending side trying to adjust to what we're seeing, right? And how to help kind of keep things moving where possible and keep restrictions in place, right? I mean, the difference between then and now is then no one thought anything was wrong with the market. And now, even though it's a great opportunity, everybody thinks something is wrong with the market. So there's pluses and minuses around that, but that's really where the volatility has been. And that volatility, though, I think has been in part what has allowed the real estate market to continue to appreciate at the levels that it has been. And so when we look at when should people take advantage of the market, knowing how volatile that side is and how well the real estate market has continued to respond, with those kind of moving boundaries and moving targets, the only thing we know is that change will continue, right? Change is the only constant. And so
100%.
to take advantage of the market today, when we know the type of interest rates that we have, we know the type of appreciation that we've seen, we know that the people are still out there looking, right? We're looking very closely at supply versus demand. We don't know if we'll see some seasonality around the holiday timeframe. We don't know, like Annette said, what will happen with the spring reaction. Those are really the unknowns. It becomes even more of a sense of urgency to take advantage of what we know things look like today.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, to your point, you know, I had a client ask me, well, is this going to be a 2008 all over again? You know, they were a small business owner. Yes, we do have some more restrictions on their side of things, not so much a bunch of others, but in that realm we do. And I will tell you that I said, look, it's not 2008. We have a completely different market, especially when it does come to the mortgage side, because mortgages have stabilized. We're not doing any more interest-only loans, all of these state income stated loans. Like, the majority of loans now are super stable. That's why we're not seeing foreclosure rates like we did. We're not seeing the short sale rates like we did. I mean, it is a stable mortgage market. So for us to go back and look, you know, into the past with that, I don't think it's going to happen. And that was a question that I had with what you were, you know, talking about, Mindy, was I know a lot of people are kind of thinking that way, especially when they see these appreciation rates, and they're like, oh gosh, is the floor going to fall out? Like, I've heard that too. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, prices don't fall just because people lose their jobs, right? There is going to be continued economic impact to our economy because of COVID. That is a given. There is going to be a greater divide between the haves and the have-nots. There's going to be industries that are going to be significantly hit, while others, like real estate, are going to continue to thrive. For every job we lose on one side of the spectrum, another is gained on another side, but that doesn't take away the pain, right, from the audience that's losing jobs, that's struggling with their family's needs. The beauty of the place that we're in here in Arizona is we're not a real high density city, right, in general. And so some of the cities that are really high density, they're starting to see an impact because the prices are so high, things are so affordable, and people want to have a little bit more space. We're not geographically designed in that way. We have a far more diversified economy than we had in the crash. We are not construction focused. We have a high IT population, a high healthcare population. We've got some of the strongest industries and employers based here, and specifically in East Valley, but in Arizona in general. And so while I think we'll continue to see economic impact, as long as there are more buyers than there are houses available on the market, the prices will not fall.
That was my thought exactly.
We're a desirable place to be. I mean, how many people are moving here? Mindy, I don't know if you know, or Heather, you know, just from California alone on a monthly basis. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and even if it's only a few, they come with a greater buying power than we have based on prices there. And so you sell $1.5 million or a $2 million house here, you come and you buy 2 or 3, right, a primary and a couple of investment properties. I mean, we still can't catch up, right? And if you look at new construction, it may seem like there's new, you know, models on every corner and the building is so extreme, but they're still building less than they did in the late 90s and the early 2000s. So they're still underbuilding. And so I just am having trouble finding how we're going to shore up that gap. Ultimately, there will be buyers that pull out of the market. And ultimately, there will be sellers who pull out of the market. But to upset that balance between what we see today, between supply and demand, it will take some time.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to shift the conversation a little bit because this is, and I think there's a lot of value in what our conversation was, but I do want to make sure we spend a little bit of time talking about business planning. And so before we get to that, I want to congratulate both Heather and Mindy for their great job on the recent event you guys had over at Keller Williams Integrity First, the last agent standing script battle. And it was a lot of fun. Got to be there on Tuesday and check that out. I love that you guys are just doing fun things. And, Mindy, you kind of talked about it during the course of the event, was that, look at, this is designed to be a learning experience, but put in a fun environment. And I love that about what you guys do. So with both of your teams, it's amazing. So, and I'm looking forward. I've got the, what was the name of the team? It was Unrealized Potential. Or something like that. So the Unrealized Potential team, I get to take them to pizza and beer.
Wasted potential.
Yes.
That was not my team name, just to clarify.
Yes.
But the team names were fire and was a big part of the success of that event for sure.
Yeah. So, but let's talk about business planning, and let's talk about what that's looked like for you, Heather, and with your team. At what point of 2020, and it being the odd year that it is, but at what point of this year did it come to you that, okay, it's time to start looking at 2021 and what we're going to be, or what our strategy is going to be for 2021?
Yeah, so we did our business planning yesterday as well, same day as Mindy. And so we know that in real estate, the work you do today is going to show up between 60 and 90 days away. And so what that means is what we're doing today is working for January. So depending on if you're an individual agent or what that looks like, you need to have your goals already set for the year now, if not sooner. So what I like to tell my team is we should really start with the end in mind. And so what I mean by that is look at 5 years. I like to go out 5 years. 5 years from now, what do you want your life to look like? And then how do we build it back from there? And the reason we talk about 5 years is because if you're like Mindy and myself, we have to hire a certain number of people, right, in order to make certain goals. And we would have had to have those people hired long before yesterday. And so if you know what you want your business to look like in 5 years, it allows you to work backwards and figure out how many transactions you're going to need, how many houses you're going to sell, who you need to be in business with, how often you need to call them in order to make sure that you're meeting the goals to fund your perfect life. And that can look different for everyone, which is why we can't just put a blanket statement out there of what that needs to look like, because it really depends on what you want for yourself and your family and your business and all that entails. So go ahead. Sorry, Don.
Yeah, no problem. So members of your team, you're going to ask them where they want their life to be in 5 years from now. What do they want that to look like financially? Yes. And then you're going to roadmap it backwards to from where they're at now to how we get to that goal. And it sounds like you're breaking that down to phone calls. So it's broken down to that small of a measurement, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And I think we have to talk about something before, because I think a lot of people write our goals down, right? We write them down in January 1st. We want to lose 75 pounds or whatever the goal is, right? And we all start, and then we know, unfortunately, that a lot of people fall off the bandwagon. So what my team did this year is we thought about where is the disconnect? Why do we fall off the bandwagon? What is being caused by that? And what we decided is people don't get in a relationship with their goals like they would a boyfriend or girlfriend. So hear me out with my example. So we go and you go to the restaurant, the bar, whatever, and you're sitting there and someone comes up to you and you start talking to them and you have a great conversation. And after the conversation ends, you're like, okay, well, that was great. Bye. And you just leave, right? That's not how it goes. We say, oh, can I get your phone number, right? And the next day they send you flowers and then they send you a text message to follow up, right? Because they're putting work into that relationship. And that's exactly how our goals need to be. We need to get our goals number. We need to send our goals flowers. We need to review them every day, right? It can't just be, we're going to write our goals on paper. This is what we want our life to look like in 5 years. And then, woo, gone. Like we don't see them again. And so I really feel like the disconnect is not having a relationship with those goals. So for my team, the question is, what can we do to make sure we have a relationship with those goals, right? So number one, make sure they're meaningful, and that's really what you want to be at. Number two, get a plan together, which is what you're talking about. And number three, review them and see them. Put them on your mirror in your bathroom. Put them where you're making your phone calls. but make sure you don't just write them in the book and then leave them and don't ever date your goals, right? And then a great question we like to ask is, if I were my goal, would I marry me, right? Like, have you put the effort in? And I know it seems so trivial, but it's true. People put a lot of effort into dating and getting married, and then they're married. And how are you doing that with your goals? Because those are just as important. So that's kind of what we did on.
I love this. So
I love how you did real life comparison there, Heather. And you're 1,000,000% right. Because if it's painful, if it's a painful experience, you're not going to do it, right? I mean, if you're in your head, if it's something like, I want to lose 75 pounds, that's painful. You're not going to do it. But if you're like, well, you know what? I just want to lose over the next 6 months, I want to lose a pound a day. Well, that's not as painful as I want to lose 75 pounds. And okay, what can I do every day? One little thing to get to that 1 pound a day. What can I do differently? And really breaking it down. And then you can embrace it and love it, like you said, and have that relationship with it. And it's doable. And you don't kill yourself and, get mad at yourself if that one day you miss something. Okay, well, I missed it today. I'll do it again tomorrow. I love it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, and so when you're presenting this to your team, Heather, what does it look like? Is it a conversation like you just presented to us about that importance, or what are their actions then from there?
Yeah, so they need to figure out what they want first, right? And then I'm going to help them make a plan for that. So let's say they need to make $200,000 next year in order to have their life expenses covered and to have some money saved, because maybe they want to buy an investment property. So in 5 years, they can have passive income, right? And so we're going to write that down and we're going to determine why that's important to them. So why is it important that they buy an investment property? Well, because yesterday on my team, they didn't have investment properties when they were young and they were left with nothing, and they don't want to do the same thing for their children. Okay. So whatever that reason is, we discover what that is. Number one. Number two, we say, in order for you to make $200,000, what is your average commission check? And then we break it down and we know exactly how many units they need to sell. So 50, 75, depending on where you're at in production. So once you have made the determination of how many units you want to sell, the next question goes, how are we going to do that? Okay. And so on our team, we pick 3 different lead gen levers. So life is short, right? So let's do what we love. If you love meeting people, then go out and meet people. If you love talking on the phone, then talk on the phone, right? If you love doing Facebook, then Facebook away. So we pick 3 lead gen levers is what we call them. And that's what they're going to focus on. And it's different for every team member. And so again, my favorite ones are open houses. I like to talk to my sphere, and we do client events. Okay. And then so from there, I'm going to know exactly, because we track our appointments, how many appointments I have to set in order to convert how many leads I need, which is going to net me the $200,000 that I want to make in that example. And then we keep that as part of our goals. So in our office, we have a whiteboard, and we have what everybody's goal is, how many units they're going to sell, how much money they want to make, how many appointments they need to go on, how many people they need to talk to. And so it really makes it go down. So like Sharon was saying, it's not the 75 pounds, it's I'm just going to drink a gallon of water today, right? And breaks it down. And your success at the end of the day is, did I drink my gallon of water? Yes or no? And then that's how we move forward with our goals.
So once I've mapped all this out, right? So I've done my reverse 5-year map, and I've got my plan in place. I need to make X amount of calls per day, and I need to door knock, whatever that is, whatever those pieces are. And so then I actually need to go do something, right? So it's not just a matter of it now happens because I wrote it down. So the next piece is the actual going and executing each day. What happens if I falter? Like you mentioned, what if I didn't drink we lost Heather. I think we might have Heather back. Well, maybe.
Because I need the same internet as
There she is.
Yeah, Mindy took all the bandwidth right now. So Heather, if
I'm like, we're done with you.
So if I don't make my calls that day, or if I do, suppose I make my calls and I fall flat on my calls that day, what happens then?
Well, the good news is we have ratios for that. So on our team, we know that we convert 75% of our appointments. And how we know that is because we track them. So every time we go on an appointment, we say, did we get what we needed signed or unsigned? And if you have accurate numbers, then you can make a plan for those days, Dawn, that maybe you didn't set an appointment that day, but you did your calls. And you just have to believe in your plan and know that the plan works. And all you have to do is follow the plan. And we also plan for time for vacations, however many you want to take, right? It's your life by design. If you want to take 2 weeks of vacation or you want to take 3 months off, you can do whatever you want. You just have to plan for it. So as long as you believe in the plan, which we know works, then you have the ability to continue to move forward and do what you're supposed to, even if the results don't show up that day.
And the examples are there of the plans working, right? So this is really easy to adapt into that mindset of like, look, this person made their calls, this person did their appointments, this person did this, and now they're experiencing the life that they targeted that they want. So
I think you have a valid point though, Dawn. Some people give up before you see the results. And It's just like that in weight loss and a lot of goals, right? So they think, oh, nobody came to my open house, I'm not going to have another one. And then if they would have just came to the next one, you could have had 10 people come through. So I feel like you have to believe in the plan and execute it and keep executing it over and over and over again until it works.
Yeah, there's no magic pill, right? The purpose of goal planning, and I think for our team, I feel like every year I end up doing it earlier and earlier until one of these days I'm going to want to be doing it in March. But it's just because the more you are diligent about goal planning and the more you are diligent about what Heather said, which is the next most important piece, which is revisiting it regularly, the more you want it to be at the forefront of everything that you do, because it takes time to put together. It takes time to implement. It takes time, even as an individual agent, they don't have to hire the staff, but they've got to get prepared to do the things that they've committed for. And they've got to start doing them before they want the results to show up. And so I feel like each year we're moving that plan earlier and earlier into the year. And the necessity for revisiting it becomes imperative. Otherwise, that relationship with the goal just never develops, because either they don't believe it's possible, which is why you see people give up before the results occur. They don't really believe that they can attain it. And I think that if there's agents out there who are putting together goal plans because either they're inspired by what they hear today or they know someone who tells them it's the right thing to do, they need to also be in business with people who've seen it work. Because I think if you're not around people who do this regularly, I just talked to another team leader this morning, being around other business owners, whether it's individual agents or team leaders who live a life by design through goal planning, through tracking, through checking on the things that they've said that they were going to do and how they were going to get there, and accountability and showing up and dreaming big, right? And realizing big. Those are the things that make you believe that it's even possible. And there's so many examples that Heather and I can give just between our own two teams. My agents have each individually done more this year than they did last year. I have one that bought her first house. I have one that was able to fund a wedding. I have one, I've got so many examples of the beauty of helping someone systematize the goal process, the relationship building with the goal, and checking back in on that goal and seeing people really live that life by design. And so my encouragement is, one, take the systems and the tools that Heather's talking about, the mindset, the ideology, and then also get in business with people who believe that goal setting and goal realization is possible.
Well,
yeah. Go on, Sharon.
I was just going to say, surround yourself with successful people. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And Heather, what I kind of heard too on when you were talking about the 3 lead gen levers, and I love that. That to me, and I'm assuming maybe you're using the GPS as well, and maybe that's your priorities, your 3 priorities out of your GPS, and breaking that down. Okay, these are the 3 things that I'm going to focus on and I like doing, and now what are my 5 strategies under that, and how am I going to achieve those? So to get there. So I love that. That was great.
I'm happy to share any of those tools as well, and do goal planning with anybody who wants to. It's free. Someone changed my life in real estate, and I'm happy to give back any way possible as well. I think it's important, like Mindy said, to make sure that if you don't believe in those goals that you can do them, you should be surrounding yourself. So this year in our goal planning, I looked back to 2017, which was our first time in real estate full time. I took 10 listings. 10 listings, that's it, 10, right? My team will take over 120 this year. That's unbelievable. You can be wherever you want to be, and that's why the 5-year mark is so important, because you can do whatever you want in 5 years. You just need to decide what it is and then put a plan in place and surround yourself around people who believe you can, because I didn't believe I could, but I had coach who did, and go for it. So
awesome.
Heather, can you tell us a little bit about that, Coach? Because I think that, I look back at my own life and my own, different careers that I've done. And, it was great. When I was in retail, I knew how many people walked in the door every day. I know what percentage of them bought whatever, and so, we had all the sensors and we had all these tools to help do that. Real estate doesn't really work like that, where you can track all the things that are coming towards you the same way. But there are still a lot of things that you can track. You talk about how your mindset, like you thought you couldn't do it at one point. And obviously, I can't wait to hear what your goals are for 2021. And so I'm going to hit you up for that in a minute. I don't know if you're ready to share that yet, but I really want to hear like how from a psychology you got over that hump of like, I can't do that, and to where you guys are now.
Yeah. So I think it goes back to finding your big why. So I share with some people I have multiple sclerosis, and I found out one day I woke up and I was numb from the waist down. And so for my big why, it's I'm going to work my butt off so that if something happens to me and I end up in a wheelchair or whatever, in 5 years, my family will be taken care of. And so when you can find something so deep inside of you that it makes you do the things that you need to do, that's why you do the things you do. And so I think for me, I didn't believe I could do it, but I know I had to. I didn't have another choice. There was no choice. It was either get up and go make those calls that you didn't want to make, or go find a regular job and be stuck there and not be able to see your kids and miss your kids' activities and things like that. And so I chose to move away from pain. And so you can move towards pleasure or away from pain. I react to pain. So I moved away from the pain of knowing that either my family could not have money in 5 years, or I could miss out on my kids' lives. And so I think that's why when people say the big why, they throw it out there, but you do have to find the reason, whatever it is inside of you that gets you up every single morning, even when you don't want to, burning fire in your heart to do the things that you don't want to do.
And so when you started taking those first steps, so you had this realization, and obviously you're doing amazing, in spite of that diagnosis, but so when you started taking those steps forward, and those moments of doubt crept into your mind, and those opportunities to not pursue it, what did that look like for you to overcome that?
So I think you just have to look around, and everything in our industry has been done. There's an agent in Atlanta selling 3,500 homes a year with their team. So it's not like we're out there looking, clearing through the path. The path is there. You just got to follow it. So that's why surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, maybe more than you believe in yourself at that time, is so, so important. And when you have the plan and you're committed to the plan, you just do it. So even if I didn't believe it was going to work, I woke up and I said, I'm going to do it because Mindy down the hall is doing it and it's working. So just having that good example of it. And then some days you have bad days, right? And you just shake it off and you get up the next day and you make it better. So you can't just wallow around in that. You have to, okay, I didn't believe in myself yesterday, but I have a plan and I'm going to do it and everything's going to be okay tomorrow. So.
Excellent.
One of the things that we do at our planning session each year is we have a component of understanding the agents on the team from a deeply personal level. And so the reason that I bring that up is because, as Heather said, understanding your why is important, and also understanding what motivates you and how you work and when you are your best and when you are your worst is also important, because as you're designing those goals and envisioning what your life looks like, everybody responds to those kinds of conversations in a little bit different of a way, right? Heather and I are super close friends. We're great peers. We're also very different in a lot of ways too. Different things motivate us, different things resonate with us, different tones mean something different to us, right? And so one of the things that I always think as a leader is really important is finding out how each person is wired so that I can be a better leader to them, and also I can help bring out in them the motivation they need to get to their big why. And so every year I do that with some different type of a tool. And this year we did the Strength Finders tool. And I really enjoyed the experience. And I would just recommend, if it's something that you guys haven't done before, there's no right or wrong tool. There's no one answer for any of this. I just really enjoy that stuff. And I think understanding people at that level can really be a game changer for helping them to get in relationship with their goals, like Heather said. And so we really learned the people who did it because they like getting recognition versus the people who do things because they like helping others versus the people that do things because they like to check the boxes and show that they've succeeded, right? And so really understanding how someone is naturally wired can unlock some of that fear or doubt or inability to be able to actually envision those goals. And if we can do that, the potential is limitless. I mean, there's no stopping people who really have made a connection with their goal and believe that they can get there.
We did that activity on our sales team and our management team. It's awesome. Strength Finder it's so cool. And when you read what it analyzes, your three main characteristics are, or strengths rather. It's fascinating how spot on
it's really cool.
It is great.
And we built on it. We did it initially with our team at last year's session. Each one did it individual, and we focused really on that. And this year we focused on how those work together, which is another cool component of it. But I really just think any level where you can get the goals on paper, but see past the paper and into the person, that's how you're going to unlock the potential.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I really think that it also highlights for themselves where their strengths lie, and to head more towards
and it makes you examine
versus away.
Yeah,
so I think
with every one of those persona
yeah.
profile tests that I've taken, and I've taken a lot, and and
John's still trying to figure it out.
Right? Yeah, still trying to figure out which way's up. But no,
sorry,
we all are.
No, but I just think though that it causes you to kind of self-examine as well, right? It's not just what it says on the paper. It's like, oh my gosh, well, I see this coming in these situations, right? When I'm in these positions. And, and I've shared with you guys one of the training stories I had about where I was a sales manager in retail and I wanted everybody to behave just like me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, until that got pointed out to me and like how unrealistic that was, it was one of those things that I just always went with, like, why don't they just do it the way I did? Why don't they just do it the exact, why don't they think the way I do? And so when you're able to examine that, then you can now start addressing those areas where it's like, okay, maybe I do need to be a little open-minded to other people bringing things in a different light and in different ways. So, yeah.
Well, and you can capitalize on your strengths. And that's what I loved about the activity we did, Don, with the team, because you're right. You may think you're one thing and not realize that you have this incredible strength that you're really not even capitalizing on in what you're doing. So maybe shifting things of what you're doing, then you're going to turn around and go, well, I enjoy this now and I'm having more fun doing this because it is a strength of yours and it does feel better and it does make you happy and you do want to marry it and make it a better goal.
You want to enjoy the journey, right? I mean, Heather and I thrive on seeing people get to their goals, things that they didn't think that were possible. And we want people to enjoy the journey. And certainly we have to do things that we don't love. That's why you probably live in your strength zone 80% of the time. There's going to be parts of your job we can't correct for that. But if you know where your strengths are, and again, you can use any tool that you want, but if you can understand where those are, then when you're picking your lead gen levers, like Heather talks about, you pick the ones that you're going to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Okay. We have like 4 minutes left. So so before we part ways, a couple of things I wanted to Sharon's got something going on over her house. So she suddenly goes off screen. So if you guys, Mindy and Heather, if you guys are,
that just didn't happen to the two of us because we're here. That's the only reason. Otherwise, we would have all kinds of
sorry, I couldn't hear fast enough. Was that just loud? My alarm just went off. Hopefully it's not a fire. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll give you like 2 more minutes, Sharon, and we'll let you get out, evacuate the house. So Heather, if you're okay with sharing, and I didn't ask you this in advance, so hopefully it is okay. How many families is your goal to help in 2021?
Yeah, so the actual real estate families that we want to help is 350 units, and which is going to help the agents on my team make $3 million in commissions next year.
Wow,
Amazing.
So, yeah. Mindy, are you? Have you guys got yours down to that point yet? Do you know where you're at?
Yeah, so our goal next year, so we've got a hiring goal in place. So our focus this year was really to get us to a position where all of the agents on our team did more production than they did the year prior. We also had some transition because we birthed a new baby, a new member of the Amy Jones group last year. And so we're excited that this year we will help about 175 families. And so our goal next year with our hiring goals fulfilled, which is what our next effort here is over the next couple of months, is to break 270 families for next year.
Awesome.
Excellent. So we're over 600 homes, 600 families that we're helping sell their homes and buy their homes between the two of you guys for next year. And those are some amazing goals, and I am certain that you'll both be surpassing those. On that note of what Mindy was just talking about, with having a need on the teams, I believe both of you guys are looking. There's opportunities with both of your teams. So Mindy, if you don't mind, to start with you, and then Heather, if you tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
Yep, sure. Yeah, I think the beauty of having us both on is our teams, again, have lots in common. There's lots of things that we do that are very similar as far as client care and systems and tools and things like that. And then just generally there's differences about ours. And I think it's really important when agents are looking at what teams that they become a part of, that there's a lot of things that they look at. And obviously the success metrics are there for both of our teams, but because we operate a little bit differently, folks have to find where they will be most successful, because that's really all we want, is we want people who plug into an environment that will allow them to succeed. So for us at the Amy Jones Group, we are looking for 5 additional agents to join our team. We are looking for agents who have some experience in the real estate market. The platform that we have does provide about 75% of the business that our agents do, but it does require a different level of experience because of the type of schedule that we operate here in the office. But we do have 4 full-time staff members, so we have infrastructure around administrative, operations, marketing, and also a client care coordinator. And then we have some pretty cool systems and tools that I think that we use on the back end that fuel our social media and our website platforms. So we are looking for agents who have some experience, who believe in going above and beyond, which I think you'll hear the same from Heather, and would love to get them on board this year so that they can be a part of our 2021 goals.
Excellent.
Love it.
And they can reach out if they need to get a hold of Mindy. If you don't know Mindy, reach out to me or Sharon or Annette. We're happy to make that introduction.
Yep.
Heather, what are we looking for with the Open Full group?
Awesome. So we are currently hiring a marketing manager position. And so that is going to be creating content, managing social media, among many other things. That job is posted on our Facebook as well as our website. And then this year we're focusing a little bit differently on our organizational structure. And so what we're doing is we're giving our agents the opportunity to focus on an area, a legion lever that they really love. So for example, we're currently hiring someone who is in a farm and ranch division. So someone who is really connected in the horse industry, agriculture, land, things like that. We're also hiring someone who for a luxury division. And so a buyer's agent who's going to work in luxury, someone who wants to really increase their average price point and focus on that end of the business. We're going to be hiring someone who works with human resource managers to get different companies. We have a really big announcement coming up in 2 weeks. I can't tell you yet, Don, but we have a super cool company that we're going to be working with, and we're going to be their preferred realtor. And so we have multiple divisions. All of that's posted on our website. So you can go in there and kind of take what industry, what area that you love and you really want to work in. And we're going to build a plan and a platform around how to make you successful in that specific area. So we are looking to hire 10 agents amongst our marketing manager position. And then lastly, we have positions for showing assistants. So that would be great for someone who's looking to get into the business, maybe wants to learn from people who are selling 50 houses a year and kind of build their career that way as well. Build their career starting right there and then moving forward into whatever role they want to. So.
And you actually just had a round of promotions on the team as well, right? We have a new director of operations. We have a new sales manager. And what am I missing?
A director of luxury division.
Yes,
so our goal is to create. I came from a corporate world, and so when I was in corporate, you started at your job and then you move forward in different areas. And so I really want that same experience of ownership and loyalty and making more money, all that kind of fun stuff inside of our team, which is why all three of those people came internally from our team and were all promoted within. And so my job for my 5-year plan is to create a world so big that nobody wants to leave. And so in order to do that, I have to keep creating bigger opportunities for those people that I love dearly to keep growing with us and adding more people to our organization so they can have the same kind of experience as well.
Excellent. Love it. So much opportunity with you guys. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we're over on time. Sharon has one announcement that we need to make before
we are over time,
yes. Yeah, no problem. It's my fault.
Well, I just wanted to announce because I'm hoping I'm going to see you all on Facebook Live again here in less than 30 minutes. We have our benefits of investing in real estate and Airbnb properties. Seminar going on. We've got Chris Iman with Wholesale Homes. We've got Karen Ortega-Matson with Remax Fine Properties and Carl Freud with Kenneth James Realty. So it's a great lineup. It's going to be a great conversation, especially if you want to tap into your database on helping them find some investment properties and turn them into Airbnbs. Really going to be a great show. So I hope you can join us here again, Facebook Live in about 30 minutes. We also have a link if you need one. So awesome. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Heather, Mindy.
Thank you, everybody.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.